driveway. I just redid it. About a third are
Lost dog.
lost dogs, garage sales. One was an autistic kid that wandered off during a street fair.
Yes.
And you can send a citywide blast, and it costs money, but they'll hit every cell phone and everybody that's registered. And keep in mind that lost children don't follow neighborhood boundaries. There are some interesting stories like from Cheviot Hills. My wife does this too. She'll take a picture and post it because a lot of companies have contractors, no badge, no shirt, no truck, no what? And the guy's in your backyard, right? No, don't worry about it with the cable company. Well, not really. I'm a subcontractor from a contractor who got the gig for the cable company. Or not. So she photographs them and then sends it out and says, who is this guy? And then lets the neighbors know, some of whom aren't at home. So it's kind of cool that people are using this to communicate. You don't get those. And the other one is, does anybody know someone that can tune a piano, fix a broken window, clean a chimney or whatever? So they're looking for local services. So that's next door.
One clarification
Yeah.
on that. When you say you, for example, I have 2 accounts on Nextdoor.
Yeah.
One is Don Wiggins,
Yeah.
and the other is Northridge East.
Yeah.
So I'm 2 different things. And so, yeah, as Nextdoor, I don't get all the
Right.
local traffic.
So as Dawn, the resident, and by the way, this is residents only,
Yeah.
and it's by a plot map, so it has to be an address in this neighborhood. So it's not live, work, own, participate, it's live. And it's verified. So you can't just register it, it verifies. But, so you, as the individual, get to see your neighborhood. But you, as the representative from the neighborhood council, can push to about 10 neighborhoods, but without seeing their conversations. So you, as the individual, can say, I'm having a good time with the neighborhood council, but only your neighborhood will hear you. You can bump over the fence into the neighboring neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it, okay? But it's private. One of the guarantees, these are neighborhoods. Where are we? Here?
No. Right where your finger is now. Oops, no.
Okay.
Left a little bit, that's okay.
Okay, so here's a neighborhood. And then you look over here, so as a neighborhood council, they'll use your map. We'll see, Matt, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we'll follow up with Mission Hills. They'll use your map and give you access to the people in your region. So you can, and this is okay, this isn't 80-20.
Yeah.
They don't want you to keep pushing. They don't want you to be, oh, look, it's Mr. Informative again. Once a week, let them know what you're doing. Because they've opted in to find out what's going on in the neighborhood. Just be meaningful. You guys are having a CERT summit, right?
Emergency.
Emergency
Yeah.
preparedness?
Yeah.
That's beautiful, right? So I would say public safety. Reseda uses it for their general board meetings, but do something more than we're having a meeting. Where we're going to talk about the homelessness issue. Where we're going to talk about the public safety on Reseda. Where we're going to talk about the vision on, yes, and then yes.
Well, I'm a lead with Nextdoor, and what I do is I monitor the conversations. And when somebody asks a question or makes a comment that pertains to some city service or a situation that perhaps could be aided by talk with maybe Watch or the senior lead officer, if there's a crime they're concerned about, or is it a crime or is it not a crime, then I'll weigh in.
Yeah.
And then I'll let them know, well, here's your neighborhood watch
Right.
person, here's your senior lead officer, get a picture of the suspicious looking vehicle and we can submit it to the senior lead officer and they can run the plates. And actually by doing that, I get more people chiming in and engaging, and it also kind of, it helps clarify whether there really is any criminal activity or not, or it helps clarify that there are people we can go to instead of just sitting in our homes and
Yeah.
noodling around and speculating. There are answers out there.
Quick comment before we come over to Mr. Guzman. There was an interesting example. Somebody said, oh my God, what do I do? Which department do I call? There's a raccoon in my trash can, but I don't know if it's dead or alive. Because it's true, you call sanitation if it's, or wait, street services, animal services, like who do you call? And then someone said, hey, it's Bill, your neighbor. I tipped the can over, the raccoon, the possum's alive and it's gone. So the solution wasn't answering the question so much as, is there someone local? In a city of 4 million people, it's a big city, but this makes it really local. And sometimes the solution is the guy just walked over and tipped the can over, right? So that's kind of a next door thing. Yes, Mr. Kuzman?
You know, I've been a lead on the nextdoor.com since they first started coming around to neighborhood councils, and Mr. Garcetti announced the partnership. And I don't know why, but the neighborhood councils seem to be resistant to the idea of participating in. I don't know what the resistance is, or that they just don't know or are afraid of it, or what.
Well,
but I do
tonight's
know
purposes-
the don't know part of it is.
For tonight's purposes, I'm here to let you know that we're short on time. If you'd like to know more, we'll open your account. And if, when you speak of being lead, are you talking about for a neighborhood council or for a neighborhood?
The neighborhood that I live in,
Yeah,
I
the
created the
neighborhood.
nextdoor.com.
Right. So you live
Platform
in one
for it.
of 900 and some neighborhoods. What's cool about this is they'll send postcards to your neighbors for you. Because it's physical addresses. Not email addresses of someone that lives in Morning Glory Heights but finds your neighborhood very interesting or drives through it and slows down when they come around the corner. So you can do things in your very specific neighborhood, and I think that you're right. Sometimes we just have a lot to do. As you said, who's going to do all this? Here's what I would do if I were you, or you, because you say, why don't they get involved? Maybe we need to, can you go to the list here? Go to Atwater Village. Look at Atwater Village. Scroll down. They have 1,700 members. I would go and find that person. You said you're an organizer, right, for your neighborhood?
Or lead.
The
Lead.
lead.
Oh, they call them leads.
Lead. So
They're
you're
the
lead.
ones that manage
it.
and started the nextdoor.
If I were you, I'd find him, and I would enlist him and give him a position of power and influence, right, in the neighborhood council, because he's already the lead.
He's a new intern. He's
Oh,
your
well,
new intern.
unfortunately, because I'm the lead, the neighborhood council, in my case, would rather not be participating in it.
So,
unfortunately, that's
Find
the way it is.
the person that digs this. So I know the woman in Atwater Village. She's very dynamic. She just hasn't found her neighborhood council home. So you don't have to do all things. So the conductor doesn't touch many instruments, right? But start conducting. And so this is one of the many instruments. But it's a shame. These people opted in.
Right.
They're already, they stood up and did something and said, I want to know what's going on.
So,
Okay.
is the department going to set the boundaries for the community council?
We gave them shape files of your,
And can we have his contact information?
Right.
so, which one is it? Two cards? Okay, so Jose's not getting out of here without Carlos tracking that. So, I'm sorry, you know what the legacy book is? You should have one on the board table, and you should have one for your committees, especially for your communications or outreach team. And you want to have your, what you want to accomplish. It should be goals that have numbers on them. Okay? Like I want to lose a bunch of weight.
Numbers.
And you're on your way.
I lost 17 ounces. Okay, so it's a big number. So decide what you want to accomplish, and then come up with a policy on who has access. Then go affirmatively to all your contractors and say, this is what we would like. And if you want to rebuild your entire website from scratch because you want to imitate, point your finger at the car you like and then say, I want one of those. And then they'll tell you what the price is, because you're now talking about a big number for the rebuild, and then what's it going to cost for maintenance, and be specific. But keep in mind you're in the driver's seat in that sense. So get with your committee and decide what you want. And by the way, you can still budget from the dollar's perspective. You can still walk in a lot and say, I expect to get out of here with 4 wheels, and I want
Mag wheels, mag wheels,
What's that?
mag wheels.
Mag wheels
Yeah.
for $500, and they'll give you some wheels. You know what I mean? But may not have an engine. You know what I mean? So if you can approach it. I would suggest tell them what you want. You need these anchors for everything you do. Jose will set you up with Nation Builder. It's a bit of work.
Yeah.
You're going to want some help. And it's either going to be a young genius in the neighborhood that you, yes.
Now, do we need to transition from one place to the other? You have that in-between thing. I was wondering if you could just go from one host
Oh, absolutely.
master to the other.
You do not need to. John wanted to look at it, but he hadn't spoken to any of these folks, and he wanted to get going. So in terms of the ducks in a row, get your account,
Yeah.
get your phone number, take a look at your domain, take a look at your hosting. You'd like us to find out what that tool is for doing some data analysis on your assets, Carlos? You said to find out about your website.
No, I said.
Is it
I
WordPress?
went to it already.
Oh, you know
But
it?
you
Oh,
know,
I don't-
some
you know what it
people
is?
might wanna find out what,
You know what it is?
that's.
You'll tell me, I'll tell them.
Yeah, I gotta
Okay.
look it up, I forgot.
So you'll get those ducks in a row. You'll get these ducks in a row as far as what you want.
Right.
You can put it out there and go, we want you
To take over.
to facilitate
The move.
this move.
Right.
Knowing it's 8 to 16 hours. And if they tell you, well, it's 120 hours. 2 people, gonna be no guarantees. Go, seriously? There's 2 guys at Home Depot that'll do it.
Outside
And
Home
drywall.
And bring your oranges while you're at it.
So I just want you to know that this is what's really frustrating, is dealing with someone that you know is using big words just to raise the price.
Right.
Okay? So in that sense, oh, look at this, huh? Is Jose clever? So Jose went to CSUN.
Yeah.
Good boy. So his degree is in planning, and he's a GIS expert. How about that, huh? I don't know what that means, but it says expert.
But he's an expert, yeah.
Yeah. So, last thing, ready? So database, we kind of covered it. You have some questions that are outside of our control, like more data. But for the database, there's a few ways to manage it. And the thing is, if you're managing it by having it on someone's hard drive, you're not managing it. You're storing your ice cream in the trunk of the car and wondering why it's melting. It's just waiting to be contaminated or lost or whatever the case may be. But there should be some redundancy. These are cloud tools, which means that Donald and I can have access at the same time from different locations, and we don't have to go down to the. I know every board member here has inherited an old computer from the prior board, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with this paperweight? Doorstop. But it stops cars from rolling down the hill, sitting on the tire. So you see, if you're storing it on an old drive somewhere, you're just asking for trouble. So it's kind of cool to load it into an application of some sort where you can manage it. Clout. Can we go to Clout? Do you have a plate for this? Clout with a K. K-L-O-U-T. Clout is a method or mechanism for, when you go to the doctor, they tell you your blood pressure? I don't even know, Everybody there's a metric for everything, but when you go to the doctor, they typically bring it down to, let's take your temperature. Like there's a number they look for. Clout is a way of tracking your impact. So Empower LA has a Clout score of 59. It's better than 58, not as good as 60. I don't know why it's 59, but it is. And what they do is they track everything we do on, 47%, 4%. So we're not doing very much on LinkedIn. We're doing 19% on Instagram. We're doing nothing on Google+. So it's just kind of measuring, not our activity, because remember, activity is you in an empty room yelling. Impact is you talking to 3 people who were very noisy that repeated to 3 people who repeated to 3 people, and next thing you know, it's in Munich, Budapest, Melbourne, LA, Toronto, and now United Kingdom. I don't know why, but there's a group in the United Kingdom that are doing online voting. They're following us. Toronto's following us. Now I follow Toronto, and then Dave Meslin came and spent a week with us from Toronto.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a small world made smaller because of connections, but we connected on topics. Right? And so clout is a way of tracking your social media mojo, right? It's a technical term.
Or clout.
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 So can you go to, is this one set up with Twitter? So we track your neighborhood council clout scores because I'd like to help you
Make it better.
increase them. And so remember I said there was 96 neighborhood councils that will give you the link, the Twitter accounts for? And just shorten the line to the promised land. Make friends with your noisy neighborhood council friends. And echo and retweet what they're saying and doing. It's not coming up. What browser is this? Yeah. Oh, no, it's not. It's not here. Okay, anyway, so on that note, shall I send out a clout score sheet? Yeah?
Yes.
Yes.
For the different neighborhood councils?
Yeah. And keep in mind, it's not your score that's important, it's are you making progress?
Okay.
Here's where you were, here's where you are, here's where you want to be, right? I mean, we should all be making progress. So, no, it's not there. If you go back to Nation Builder, it gives our score there also.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Nation Builder. And it tells us our clout score here. So if you had a Nation Builder account, it would tell you. So there's a few ways. You can go to a clout.com and you can put your name in and register, and it'll tell you your clout score. Scroll down. Okay.
And that's pulling that information from your website activity or?
Everything.
What? Everything? Okay.
Obama's a 99. He doesn't tweet that much. But the thing is that people are, he's in so many conversations. So what they've done is they've sliced and diced it. So it's so many with
Somebody talks
different,
about-
what's the word, sensors, if you will, on the internet. So it's not so dead on. Like, oh, you tweeted 1,000 times today. Well, did anyone retweet them?
Right.
And are people talking about the neighborhood council? And one of the things you'll find is there's an etiquette on in the social media world. So if I congratulate you and you're paying attention, you'll want to know who's paying attention to you paying attention. So you'll look and then you might find me interesting and you might, it's like tarantulas in the desert. We just find ourselves. So Dave Meslin in Toronto was tracking civic engagement. We ended up being in an art exhibit in Toronto. Toronto finds us more interesting than we find ourselves interesting. I mean, it was part of a book he put out. He highlighted cities around the world that were doing something innovative to engage the community. He was yelling at Toronto saying, look what they're doing in LA, I want one. Right? And, you trying to download it? Yeah. Okay, no worries. Anyway, the point is, that's how I found him, because I wanted to find out who was talking about us. Okay? And so the etiquette is this, that it's just polite to when you're reading the paper, go to the LA Times real quickly. Sorry. Jose hates work.
Which is good.
Look over
All
here,
the
over there.
tabs that are open.
Yeah, I know. Open the internet. Everything. So scroll. Let's go to rain. Let's go to rain. Here's a safe one. Is there a drought going on? Did it rain today? I know I hate reading articles about rain, but let's scroll here. Okay, this is bad news. Let's go to a different one.
19.
What about this one? Right here.
There we go. Right there, right.
Scroll. So the LA Times gives you 2 share lines, sometimes 3. They're making it easy for you to be interesting. Okay? So cut and paste or just click Facebook or Twitter. Right here.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you haven't had your coffee yet and you don't know what, it's an interesting article, but you can't think of anything other than, oh look, another interesting article, they'll give you the line. Rain's headed. Oh look, you're the first guy on the block to know it's gonna rain. So you see, even if you don't know what to write, they'll help you be interesting. So the difference is, and I catch myself doing all this all the time, you're having a cup of coffee, you're reading the paper online, so I guess you're not reading the paper, and I'm not doing anything, it's flat. So it's kind of a training process to just click, this was interesting, or I can't believe they're at it again, or seems like a good idea, but I don't think we're ready for it. Like, what does that mean? I don't even know what that means. Nothing, right? So you've been a little provocative. You might even ask a question. Has anyone else ever had this happen? I don't even know what the article is. You know what I mean? But the people that you're engaged with will respond. Do the same to them. LA's not an engaged city in terms of blogs. In New York City, if someone just says, have a good day, they'll have 30 responses, 15 agreeing and 15, you know what I mean? San Francisco is way opinionated. And in LA, scroll down. There's comments there. So there's 13 comments.
On rain.
Right? On rain. I'm all for it. I'm opposed. I don't know what you're going to say about rain, right?
They didn't Brown Act agendize it.
So, but if you comment here, your comment is stuck to a newspaper article that others, I'm not going to, sorry, it's lost. But what they're hoping you'll do is send that article wide, and what you're hoping to do is that you'll be an interesting guy because you keep finding interesting articles. What do you like to read? LA Times?
Robert's Rules of Order.
Robert's Rules of Order? Seriously though, if you tweeted once a week an interesting tidbit, you'd be the Snapple cap. Who drinks Snapple? You know when you open a Snapple, what's the first thing you do?
Read the cap.
Yeah, there's an interesting thing, right? Did you know a centipede has how many legs? I didn't know. How interesting is that? Look, 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 look. So you could be whatever your thing is. So if you're Robert's Rules of Order, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be. You can. There's a tidbit there. Did you know? There's no such thing as a friendly amendment?
Right. I was
Huh?
just going to
Look at
say,
that, huh?
a friendly
You agree on
amendment is
something.
actually hostile.
I just want to preserve. this
And I just
respect.
learned that today, so I'm glad you brought it up.
Mr. Kuzman and Mr. Box. Oh! So I have friends that read the New Yorker. Those articles are long, right? So I need one friend to read the New Yorker for me. And let me know when something interesting happens. I just want to know the good stuff.
Right.
I want one friend to tell me about sustainability. I don't want to know too much. Right? Did you know that almonds and cashews use as much water to produce as beef?
Yes.
How do we know that? Somebody thought that was interesting
Read it in
and
LA.
tweeted it. I don't want to read the whole article. Do you know that lentils and mangoes were next? And I didn't even bother clicking because I don't want to know anymore. I'm not quitting mangoes for starters.
Or beef.
The beef?
No.
I'll quit 2 out of 3 at one meal. So you see the strategy is not to be all things to all people, but to respect others and just take the time when you're doing what you're already doing, just to click. They call it clickbait, by the way, to start debates. Because people can't resist clicking it because he said something provocative. So you don't want to be clickbaity, which is kind of, we see through that. We want you to be interesting. And I do hope that whatever you read, I have a friend that's an architect. That's all I need is, he fills me up with all I could ever possibly want to know. You know, with Instagram, because he takes beautiful photos. I think they're interesting and then I'm done. Okay? So my life should be filled with a lot of interesting people. And you should be one of those interesting people and pick your niche. As a neighborhood council, you should be that trusted resource. I hope that was helpful. Yes, Carol?
Well, you started to give us a tidbit, a quote, and you said, etiquette, it is polite to,
Oh. ...
Don't
Don't just watch the world go by. If Jose says something interesting, go, "That was interesting, Jose."
Yeah.
Carlos, you did it again. I mean, just say something.
Or like.
Acknowledge their.
You know where like came from? In Facebook, there isn't much time. So our old etiquette was, "Hey, how you doing? I trust you're well." Right? Message, message, message. Anyway, thanks for all you do. Sincerely, Steven. Signature file, signature file, signature file. Right? And I sent it to you. Thanks very much. I don't have time to dig into it now, but I'll get back to you later. Okay? Signature file, signature file. Then I respond, "Whenever you get a chance, I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback.
Signature.
Like I said, it won't be until next week." Okay. You know what I mean? Even the "thanks for the luncheon," "you're welcome, anytime." Like, stop it. So at Facebook, they came up with a like button to stop all of that email. You can cut your email in basket seriously down to 10% if everyone would just stop chattering. But there's this need. Anyway, I just thought that was a bit of unnecessary tip. The like button was a way to shortcut. So you can shortcut the whole process by just liking on Instagram, liking on Facebook, and retweeting on Twitter. Already you're a genius, I swear. You have now entered the world of highly active social media superstars. And it's polite not to just read. I'm reading the news. We paid,
So it's
Nancy and I bought a subscription just so we could get the free online.
just
Right? Unlimited access. But you know, they pour their heart and soul into these articles. It's so easy to say thank you just by retweeting it. That journalist knows who you are. And by the way, who do journalists call when they have a story? Whoever's in the top of the queue. They don't care who answers the phone. I just need a quote.
Yep.
So if you become the noisy guy for Valley Village, or Greater Valley Glen, or for West Hills, if you become the guy that says thank you, and that's gold. I mean, these people are getting evaluated based on their clout score, based on their likes, based on their clicks. So really, you're paying them. That's etiquette. For us, it's just polite and encouraging. For them, it's actually their job. But that's what I meant by the new etiquette, is to like,
Respond.
click, respond, do something other than be a spectator, a voyeur. So that's one of the simplest entrees. And believe me, a lot of people are uncomfortable. I don't know what to write.
yeah.
If you're thinking, just move on. Just click like, retweet, or share line. Anyway, so I know we've covered a boatload. If you have any questions, you can always call Jose 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
24 hours a day?
24 hours a day, sure. So, Nation Builder next door, social media. So we didn't get into Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube
That's fine.
much, other than to say, go get a
Get
volunteer.
an account.
So I think, are we good?
Yeah.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Did we all sign in on something somewhere?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Canoga Park's in charge? No?
Thank you, Mr. Box.
So, thank you. Jose, put your email back up there.
Yeah, I'll give him a thumbs up here.
True story, I was at the